Near AI. What did you ship this week?
KM everyone, I'm Peter from Nearweek and delighted to be back with another What Did You Ship This Week? On this weekly show, we highlight everything shipping within the Near ecosystem with an emphasis on AI stuff. But in general, if you're building something cool in the ecosystem, we're more than happy to feature you on the stage and give you the spotlight because that is what you deserve. Those are the builders that we need in this ecosystem. So today we have 3 projects that are going to present. We have Gamma, we have Peerfolio, and Asimov Protocol. And to kick it off, I'd like to introduce Gamma Finance and their founder, Samia Tirani. Hey Samia, did I pronounce your name correct? I'm not sure if is it muted? No? Maybe it's just me who can hear it.
Can you hear me okay? Is it working?
Yeah, now it's okay. Now it's okay. Awesome.
Right.
So
Yeah.
it was correct pronunciation.
Very good. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, awesome. So Samia, usually on this show, firstly you just tell us a little bit about yourself, the project that you're working with, and then you can get into the details. And if you'd like to share your screen, you can simply just add it at the menu down there, and we'll make sure it gets featured on the stage.
Perfect. Yeah, thank you very much. First of all, thanks for having me. It's always a pleasure.
I can't hear what you're saying.
Okay, let me.
Try again.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it kept
Now
connecting
it's
to my
good.
phone so I don't know what was going on.
Yeah.
But,
I run into that issue all the time. It's so annoying, man.
I've never seen this before. I don't know why they do that. But okay, I'll just quickly backtrack again.
Yeah, run it back, Turbo, and then we'll take it from there.
Yeah, first of all, yeah, thanks again for having me. My name is Sam. My background is primarily in business and finance. Got started building on Solana basically right around the time Solana first started. So like end 2021, started 2022. Built a lot of DeFi protocols, focused a lot on DeFi over the last years. Over the last 2 years or so, we were focusing on a project called Fibonacci Finance, in which we became one of the leading data providers, primarily providing data to Solana, but a bunch of other blockchains as well. Had a lot of really great clients, including people like Pyth, MarginFi, Jito. Basically, every team on Solana used this in one way or another, whether it was for consulting purposes or for data provisioning purposes. And our big idea there was basically gathering very hard to get DeFi data and streamlining it, cleaning it, and providing it right back to the people that need it most. Gamma takes all of this data and builds on top of it to create one of the most robust ML algorithms, primarily focused on finding the best opportunities in crypto based on your risk profile. So we're putting out several what we like to call tokenized agents. And these agents basically encompass a basket of DeFi strategies that are earning yield based on the risk profiles that a user desires. So the first risk profile that we're focused on is particularly useful for this current market condition, delta neutral, focused very much on market averse strategies, those that don't have market exposure, focused primarily on stablecoin strategies. But yeah, I don't know how deep you want me to get into it right away, but I'm happy to kind of pause there first and take it.
Go as deep as you like. Go as deep as you like.
Cool. Well, then I will keep going. Yeah. So basically, we are focused right now primarily on our delta neutral strategy. So this includes things such as lending optimization, looping strategies, funding rate farming, like basis point farming, all that kind of stuff. And why we're really excited about using Near in particular is primarily for 2 reasons. One is the shade agents, which help us actually execute these strategies across different chains. and also the near intent, which allows us to basically seamlessly swap positions across chains and basically optimize in a way that was previously much more difficult to do. So yeah, we're super excited to be a part of this near ecosystem. The primary strategies that we're currently running are based on Solana, but we will also, of course, include ways to interact with the app directly from Near, and utilizing this Near tech to basically get yield on whatever chain people want, and whatever chain our ML decides has the best yield opportunities. So there's obviously so much stuff that goes on across crypto. It's very difficult to keep up with all these different kinds of DeFi opportunities. And that's why we want to build what we're building, just to have one single place where you just simply deposit some funds. You get a receipt token that's tradable in return, and it just accrues yield. There's no need for you to balance your positions. There's no need for you to find opportunities. There's no need for you to farm protocols. We allocate it in the way that the ML decides is the best way. And in turn, you just receive the best optimized yield that diversifies risk, such as protocol risk, asset risk, everything automatically for you in real time. So yeah, that's a little bit about Gamma. We're very excited for people to try it very soon.
Awesome. So how does it and yeah, welcome to the Near ecosystem, Sam. I think it's awesome to come across projects like you. Vishal from Proximity had been talking about you guys for a long time, so I'm super excited to finally have you on the show. I was wondering, so when I deposit my funds and I choose a strategy, is are the funds automatically deployed via the strategy, or is this something that you guys are doing on the back end? How does it work?
Yeah, so then it gets transferred into the Shade agent itself, which obviously is some really great tech that Near put out that allows for this kind of custody without being like fully custody by the team itself. And then it just begins deploying. So every time we update everything every 1 hour, those are the epochs that we currently have. So every hour we basically scan all the possible. Actually, this is where I could share my screen quickly.
Yeah, definitely.
To illustrate just how much data we're actually dealing with here.
And this is mainly are these mainly like DeFi strategies on Solana, and then you're gonna expand afterwards.
Yeah, exactly. Because right now Solana has probably the deepest liquidity for strategies in general, and of course how cheap it is. But we're speaking with some Near based teams as well that are running kind of similar strategies on Near and on ETH, so we're looking to include them as well. But basically what we do is we track so many different rates, so many different strategies across DeFi. And basically what we look at is every hour, what is like the top 4 strategies that we're currently looking at? How much yield are they earning? What is the current supply depth for them? What is the current slippage cost to actually swap into a new strategy? All these things that, the average user doesn't necessarily either want to fully understand or dive into, or just doesn't have the time to, or just, simply just doesn't understand. We do all that hard work for you. So typically these stablecoin strategies yield around like 15 to 25%, this basket of assets that we have. So yeah, it gets you some really great yield. It's super exciting for us because obviously we would like to use it ourselves as well to earn more yield. And this is all based on stuff that we have to do ourselves manually in the past, right? Like we're very active in DeFi, and it's just like it was just taking too much of our time. So we really wanted to build something that was really great for us, and if it's really great for us, I'm sure it's really great for other people as well.
Yeah, I love the point, the place you're coming from, because I think if it actually solves a problem that you guys have and you want to use the product yourself, right, then it must be good for anyone else. If you trust to finance it with it, I'll definitely trust mine as well, to Gamma. So quickly, like, how's it been building on the Near tech, or like using it? I know you're still early, right?
Mm-hmm.
But do you have any do's and don'ts, any feedback, any recommendations to people looking into the tech? Like, what are your takeaways?
Yeah, I think the Near team has been super helpful. They're very hands-on. When we've had direct questions, we've been speaking a lot with Owen, for example, who's a key figure in the Near ecosystem and at Proximity. I think that just how easy it's been to communicate with teams and to be able to actually get answers when you need answers is such an important thing. When you're building in crypto, things are moving so fast. There's so many different things moving at all times, and if you have to wait like a week for a response, then who knows what the landscape looks like a week from now. So just being able to get that kind of quick responses from the team helping us answer any questions that we have, and also, of course, connecting us with people such as yourselves to really be able to put our project on the forefront and demonstrate, what we are looking to build has been really great. So, really, really enjoyed the support that we've been getting. And the tech itself has been quite easy to work with. I'm not a dev by trade, so I can't tell you too much about how I found it coding.
Neither, so
I know that our devs have had a good time doing it, and it's been pretty smooth sailing. So no complaints. I haven't heard complaints from them, so I have no complaints myself.
awesome. Well, that's great to hear. Can you? What's the handle on Twitter?
Yeah, so the handle is _gam. Actually, I think can I type it in here?
Yeah, actually, I can make a bet. Yeah, you can type it in here, and then I can just yeah.
So it's gamma _gamma-phi. The app is not live yet for the public, but we have just put it on mainnet ourselves, and it's actually everything is trading actively on mainnet right now. We're running some tests. The website is just a landing page right now, but it's just gma.fi. And once it goes live, the app will live on app.gma.fi. So should be very soon. We're hoping to have outside depositors in the next couple of weeks. It's been working very well so far. So we're very excited to have other people enjoy what we've been building. And I should mention, this is like the first stage, right? So we are focusing on having a bunch of different tokenized agents for a bunch of different risk profiles. We're also, the next one that we've already been building out is something that's like more we call it Delta 1, so more following the market, which right now might not be the best option, but it really focuses on running a bunch of other strategies, such as running liquidity positions on places like Meteora, and automating all these kinds of things, and doing looping, such as like JLP looping, and some assets on Near as well that behave similarly. But basically, running a bunch of concurrent DeFi strategies and bundling that into a single receipt token is really what we're looking to do with every risk profile that people want. So, and then the last step, which is probably a ways away, but the last step for us is to have a fund manager that people can deposit into, and that manager in real time rebalances basically between the Delta neutral and the Delta 1 and all the different risk profiles to create the ultimate hedge fund manager, basically, that users can just deposit into, and then they automatically get a portfolio that's fully hedged, earning yield in a bunch of different chains in a bunch of different ways, and is diversifying away as much risk as possible.
Awesome. And as you can see, I just signed up for your waitlist, and I encourage people, of course, this is not financial advice, do your own research, but if you think what Sam just told you about is interesting, I think you should show support and go sign up. Last thing, is there a minimum cap? Like, can I put anything into it, or is it like a minimum amount I have to put in?
Yeah, so that's again something that we really want to show, because in traditional hedge funds, obviously, there, like you said, there are minimums, right? You need to have 100K whatever minimum deposit. You need to be an accredited investor. You basically need to have some sort of status in the financial world to actually get access to these top level strategies. And that's not what DeFi is about for us, right? DeFi was always about democratizing access to financial opportunities that not everybody, that everybody should be able to be a part of. So there's no minimums. You can, if you have 1 penny and you want to, make a 20% return on your 1 penny, feel free to deposit it. If you have less than a penny, you can feel free to deposit it. If you have, a lot more, feel free to deposit it. We don't discriminate. It's really about bringing the highest quality strategies and making it accessible to everybody, just as crypto and DeFi was intended.
Awesome. And would you say, like, the key selling point here is you said it's like basically it's non-custodial, so you don't control the funds at any point in time?
Correct. The team itself can't interact with it.
Correct.
Exactly. The team itself never has custody of your funds. It's all programmatic. The team, of course, just has upgrade authority over the programs themselves and stuff. But we've been audited and all these kinds of things. But the team can't just say, hey, we withdraw all the money into our thanks for your deposits. That's not how it works. It's all non-custodial by the team.
Awesome. Yeah, love to see someone building on the Shade Agents framework. And Sam, do ping me when it's live for the wait list, or if I can try that before, I'd love to.
Very soon. I'll send you a link
about it. Yes. Super excited to have you in the ecosystem.
Yes.
And thank you so much for coming.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. All right. Next up, we have Charles from Peerfolio. And Charles been there before, showing some talking a little bit earlier about the product, right? And Charles, I'm excited to have you back to show us maybe a little bit more what you've been up to.
Thanks. Yeah, and today's going to be fun because I'll show actually a little bit more of a demo instead of like presenting and sharing information like I've done in the past. Yeah, thanks for having me back.
Yeah, so please give a quick rundown who you are, Charles.
Sure.
What you've been doing in the Near ecosystem, what you do. I know you're part of House of Stake, right, as well. And let's get into the deets afterwards.
Yeah, I've been building in the Near ecosystems for the last 3 years or so. Right now, I'm a founder at Purefolio. We're building Purefolio to be a social automation platform that helps everyday people build wealth in crypto using the same DeFi investment tools and strategies that crypto native people like you and I use, but made accessible through a beautiful UI, AI assistant, hidden complexity, and just intentional design flows to help people get started. And it's basically like do your own research with automation and tools to make that more actionable. I'm also a delegate at the House of Stake, and I want to share a little bit of an overlap between those two things. Something that we're working on for our needs at Purefolio, building part of our app that also addresses some of the feedback that we received as part of the economic work group. We did a builder mapping exercise. Let me share my screen and show this result, actually. Share screen. Cool. I think you can see my screen now. Yeah, so we conducted this builder mapper exercise, interviewed builders across the Near ecosystem about their pain points and things, wish lists, and we came up with a couple different primary and secondary themes. So within this primary theme are the things that were weighted more heavily, such as infrastructure works, but can feel a little brittle, documentation fragmented, capital access is mixed, wallet and onboarding gaps. And there's a lot of things in process for all of these different items that I mentioned here, but what I'm going to focus on today is the wallet and onboarding gap, because that was mentioned around the time that Privy announced support for Near protocol. That was in early August, and this date of our the builder surveys that we did was around the same time. So Privy launched support for Near, making it easier for users on Near developers on Near to integrate and use Privy's social login and account creation flows, but that could be a lot easier because Near is supported as a tier 2 chain on Privy, and whereas Ethereum and Solana are tier 3 chains. They get the highest level fully integrated support. Near protocol is on tier 2 with Privy, which means when you want to use Privy, you have to write a lot of custom code to do all of the cryptographic operations for signing a transaction, creating signatures, and then publishing those transactions. And not only do you have to do that, but you have to determine how do you want to do that? What pattern do you want to use to encapsulate all of this logic? And if you're building an app that already has like Near wallet selector integrated, for example, well, then as you're writing this pattern for how to execute transactions using Near with Privy, you're introducing a new control flow for executing transactions. And now what are you going to do on your client side of your application? Have some conditional logic that says that if it's this type of wallet, do this custom work with Privy. If it's a Near wallet selector wallet, then do this existing thing. It just makes it a lot more difficult for developers to get started, especially imagine you're at a hackathon and you want to use Privy with Near, and you have to go through this kind of boilerplate building of all of this transaction building layer, and then figure to integrate that into your application. So this is the area that relates to that feedback we saw in the builder mapper exercise in wallet and onboarding gaps that could be more smooth. People desire a fast auth-like solution. Shout out to anybody who remembers that on Near protocol. And so this can be improved. So one of the things that we've been working on, because we have the same need with building Purefolio, we want to offer email-based logins because our target users are mainstream consumers. They're used to just logging in with their email, and we want to hide all the complexities of wallet interactions until they actually need that, if they ever need to directly export a key. So the approach that my team and I, and shout out to Ryan, we had a lot of back and forth and discussions on how to come up with a pattern for building this authentication layer with Privy that fits into the patterns we already have in our app. And what we landed on was building this in a way such that we can integrate Privy and set that up as a wallet within Near Wallet Selector. And that way we don't need to have any branching logic in our front-end code that does one thing for Near Wallet Selector apps versus one thing for Privy apps. And so that's the intent here. And I hope you can still see my screen. I'm showing this README document. Let me make this a little easier for people to read. So we've designed this in a way that this is currently built into one of our repositories that is closed source, but we've designed this in a way that this can be abstracted out into its own repository, because our end goal here is to make this open source such that anyone can integrate Privy into their Near Wallet Selector setup in the same way that they set up Intier Wallet or Meteor Wallet by just calling a function that says set up Privy Wallet. And that will give you all of this transaction building that you would otherwise have to do manually and create all of that. You would get all of that by default, similar to how you get it when you set up My Near Wallet within Near Wallet Selector. And the only additional code that you would need to add, apart from the existing setup wallet name function, is wrappers around your context of your application to wrap and provide essentially communication between Privy's authentication layer and the Near Wallet Selector's layer. So those two, the events can be sent between those two and they can communicate. And then a signing route that your application can use to render the UI where the user is going to see the transaction that they're being requested to sign and then approve. And the benefit here is that you get the same separation of concerns with Privy and Near using this Near Wallet Selector format that you would get with other wallets in the ecosystem, where users are signing transactions outside of the context of the regular application. So you have a clear boundary of responsibilities that makes it easier to reason about and plan for robust security. All of the transactions, signing and signature happen separately in the wallet context, not within your application user experience. So on the code side, it looks the same. You're setting up the wallet and you're using the same methods that you would use with any other wallet on Near Wallet Selector. You're using those same ones to sign and send transactions on Privy. So let's see what that looks like. This is just a test page that I set up. I'm logged in via Privy on a testnet account. So this is an example of your own application triggering a signature request. It then redirects to this Privy sign page where you can see the transaction here. You can approve or reject that transaction. It happens within the context of this application Privy Wallet Selector code, and then it's returned back to the callback URL that you specify. And although the communication on the transaction details, the transaction result, that is communicated between the application context and the wallet context in the query parameters and in session storage. So there's a clear boundary there, and the information is written in query parameters, is written in session storage, and you can use events or the session storage to trigger responding to success or failures from the signing of actions in the Privy UI. Let's take a look at sending a transaction. That previous one was just signing a message. So if you have keen eyes here, you can notice an area for improvement. Right now, the transaction details are not being shown in this sample UI that I've created. So that's one area to be improved to make it more clear what action I am signing. So I'm approving the signature on the guestbook method, and I can click into the link and see that, yes, that was sent. And this transaction went through successfully. It was signed with my Privy account. And that's kind of like an example of basic setup. And what this then allows us to do, kind of next steps, is make it easier for, within this Privy Wallet Selector package, make it easier for developers to customize that UI to fit in the context of your application. So I'm in the process of doing that right now for Purefolio, because I want to be able to allow users to log in and see the UI. If I click login, I'm already logged in here. So actually, let's do a test. Let's try, log out, see if that worked. That would mean if I fully logged out, when I click login here, it should show login UI. It does, but it thinks I'm already logged in. Okay, great. So here's an example of what you can customize some of those same components to basically make it easy to have this white label experience where you can have this Privy Wallet Selector package and then customize it to meet your needs on your application. And then I could go through a similar flow here, get that code from my email, and then have the benefits of Privy integrated with Near Protocol without having to have written all of the customization logic to sign transactions and figure out a way to do that in a way that works with whatever other pattern I have in the app. Now with this approach, we can leverage the Near wallet selector pattern and set up Privy and use it like any other wallet in the Near ecosystem. So I'm really excited to move this PR along. This is an open PR, so this is very much what am I shipping this week, almost past tense shipped. Yeah, excited to move this along, get this open source, and allow other people to use it and help enhance it. Thanks. That's all I got to share today. Oh, I can't hear you. My sound is still coming through, yeah? Yeah, we have this issue where sound gets routed to iPhones now, sends your video over.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, so it got routed to my iPhone for some reason. I think maybe it's because my wireless just looks like I'm talking on the phone, but I'm talking to the mic. I want to say thank you so much for doing this, Charles, because from what I hear you say, being a tier 2 with Privy, that's a no-no, right? So that you're putting all this effort into making Privy, which is great technology, available to others. I'm like, whew, thank you so much. How's it been doing it? It looks like it's been quite a bit of work, no? Or
yeah, it has been a bit of work to understand, on top of understanding the Near account model and authentication on the Near protocol side, but then also how does it work on the Privy side? You log in with Privy, you get a Privy token. What are security best practices and what does Privy expect when moving an application from development into production? So there's that whole layer to navigate as well, but it's been pretty fun, especially when working with Ryan, Marvin, the engineer on my team, going back and forth with him on how to do this in a way that's most extensible and that we can eventually open source and make it a lot easier for developers to leverage Privy on Near protocol, because it has a lot of potential. But right now you go to those docs and there's just one little code snippet like, hey, you have to use all this, you have to use this raw sign library and write all this transaction building yourself. It makes it a lot harder to think about using that for a project, especially if you're trying to do something quickly.
exactly. And what does it take to become tier 1? Money or?
Yeah, I want to call it tier 1 too, but it's opposite. It's like tier 3 is their like Ethereum, Solana, their tier that's fully integrated into Privy. I don't know. They only have Ethereum and Solana right now. Every other chain that Privy supports is on the same tier as Near. And then I guess Bitcoin is tier 1, even less support.
Okay. Well, and how's it coming along with Peerfolio? So you basically had to do this first to make friction to make the user experience as smooth and frictionless as possible.
We had our alpha release last month and we got some good feedback. It was kind of surprising actually, because that feedback came from crypto native folk like you and I that pointed to some things that we were expecting to have to do for mainstream consumers. So it was a bit of a surprise to hear that friction from crypto native people. So now we're working towards creating a unified onboarding experience where even if you have an existing wallet, you can log in with Peerfolio using your email and then later connect that wallet if you need to, if you want to transfer tokens into your Peerfolio account to use Peerfolio's automation to diversify some token that you hold, for example. If you want to move them from another wallet to leverage Peerfolio's automation, you can do that, but you still just log in with your email. Yeah, it's been great. We've got our roadmap fully planned for all of the features that we need to build before going to GA. I just got off a meeting with the team at Valhalla and we got our security audit back for our trading account contract. That was great news. A lot of really good feedback there and a couple of minor things to implement. So yeah, it's been a lot of fun.
Great to hear, Charles. I'm so happy to have you back and hear all these great things. And thank you so much for not just working on Peerfolio, but actually contributing to the greater Near ecosystem. That's just awesome, man.
Yeah, thanks. Appreciate it. And look forward to coming back next time.
Fantastic. All right. Have a great day, Charles, and hopefully see you soon.
All right. Cheers.
Yeah, huge shout out to Charles. I cannot understate how important it is to have guys like him around the ecosystem doing these things in that will benefit not only him but many people, hopefully, who will come after him to build a near ecosystem. And lastly, we have Arto Bendigen from Asimov Protocol, and this guy is busy too. You've been having workshops, Arto, and I'm curious to hear how they've been going.
Sure thing. So glad to be on again, Peter, and also a shout out to Charles. Good stuff. I've been based here in the Bay Area for a while now, and let me share some updates here. So first of all, for the self intro, I'm Arto. I led EVM development at Near Protocol back in 2020. One of the co-founders of Aurora, as we spun all of that out. And since Aurora, I've been working on my other passion, which is knowledge representation, a much more boring subject than cryptocurrencies. But the moment, of course, is hot for that because, as we all know, AI has a quality problem. So we are working on what will be the solution to that. It is not only us working in this direction, but we have something to contribute. So I've been based in the Bay Area now for a while, and going to be around here for a while longer. Been meeting a lot of the, let's say, old crew. So always fun to meet old colleagues, and I've been meeting that's Sasha, that's Vlad, that's Marcelo. So these are some of the near OG's earliest employees to join Ilya and Alex on their journey back in the day. We've been during my time here, we launched our platform. So the 25.0, in other words, the 1.0 of the platform is out, general availability. We got some startups now building on top of the platform, which is great. And of course, that's exactly why organizing workshops and the like over here, because you got a handful of the initial users. This week, as every week, we published a couple new modules. So we have a modular platform where every piece of functionality is a cleanly separated module. Platform is 100% written in Rust, which means that it's a good basis for trustworthy AI. And right now we are focusing on the multimodal modules, meaning camera, mic input, face recognition, speech, speaker recognition, and the like. The platform is based on a concept known as neurosymbolic AI. That's the marriage of neural networks to symbolic AI. But the symbolic AI side of things entails is basically two things. It's knowledge graphs plus ontologies. Knowledge graphs are a really intuitive concept. It's the most universal data model that you can map every other data model to, whether you have a JSON or you have blockchain data or an Excel. Everything can be mapped into a knowledge graph. And the magic that happens when you do that, well, not only is it visually very intuitive, if you want to render it, draw it on a screen, even to a 5-year-old, this is intuitive, but you get an ability which is very, very difficult to have otherwise. You get the ability to just unify your data sources at will. Because unlike taking a JSON file plus another JSON file and trying to unify those together, for which you need custom code, for which you need human time spent, once you map something into knowledge graphs, you can automatically union them. Because a graph plus a graph is still a graph, just a more useful graph. So it's something like an algebra for knowledge. And what this means is that, let's say that you have two graphs with the same node. For example, that could be a person in a social graph. And you're pulling in information, as we are on the platform. We're pulling in information from Twitter, pulling in profile information from LinkedIn, pulling in connections from LinkedIn, pulling in Instagram followers, and so on. All of this relates to the same person. So as we obtain these knowledge graphs from each one of these data sources, we can just plus them together, and we have a far more useful larger knowledge graph, which then combines all of the social media followers and profiles for the same person. And that is tremendously useful and rather difficult to do in any sensible automated way unless you're using knowledge graphs. So I suggest getting knowledge graph build, which is what people have been telling me I've been helping them do over here. Indeed, one graph to rule them all, so to speak. We have been showing this demo of ours and improving it all over the Bay in recent weeks. And this is, of course, constructing a real-time knowledge graph of who is in the room at these events that we host by recognizing them by their face and soon enough by their voice as well. So that demo has been working wonders for us. Just to mention, while we are doing something that probably is unfamiliar to most listeners, unless you've been a regular listener of the Shipstream, this is not something that we've invented. All of this goes back decades and decades, but has been a little bit hidden behind the limelight of the phenomenal success of neural networks over the past decade. However, now that we're getting over the initial excitement about LLMs and all of that, and actually have to deal with the hard engineering questions of how do we make stuff work reliably, like, for example, how do we make this Tesla self-driving, I'm driving a Tesla, not take a left turn on a red light, and how do we debug such a circumstance when it happens? Well, there are big names doing this approach. There's Palantir, of course, which I think most people know by reputation, good or bad. And then, of course, lately, the secretive Cupertino entity known as Apple has a little bit lifted the hood and shown that most people think they are behind on AI, but they might actually be ahead on AI and surprise us all. So indeed, Apple is also building knowledge graphs, and with the neurosymbolic approach to AI, they are skating to where the puck is going instead of where the puck currently is. So we've been hosting weekly workshops now in the Bay Area. It's a bit of a traveling circus in a way. I've done them now in SF and yesterday in Oakland, and next week will be Mountain View for the Thanksgiving edition, and then probably back to Oakland after that. So this is very useful for hand-holding a bunch of people to understand, on board onto the concepts involved, as knowledge graphs are new to most of them, and also to just help them succeed at using the platform. And we get a ton of feedback to improve the platform in this way, and especially the documentation. Lord knows we need more work on the documentation, but, well, time permitting. The workshop yesterday was a bit of a special edition, as we were at one of the main robotics makerspaces in the Bay Area. This is Circuit Launch at Oakland, who kindly offered us the space for free. And over there, we had a captive audience of dozens of robotic startups. And for them, we are working on, let's say, the first industrial or automotive modules for the platform, where we can, for example, read the automotive electronic control unit data, known as OBD2 data, CAN bus data, and turn that into a knowledge graph. This is my little simulator because I don't really want to break open my rental Tesla to get at that port. Probably wouldn't be covered by the contract. So I'm using a nice simulator from Shenzhen to give me basically the same data, so that we can turn that into a knowledge graph and then actually test in real cars. And why this in relation to robotics? Well, in robotics, there's many approaches to robotics, but some of the motors used, especially, are based on the CAN bus, and therefore this will carry over directly into robotics applications as well. So basically, right now, focusing on managing the team, delivering more of these modules, unlocking these functionalities, and especially in particular kind of use cases. So we'll be we'll be doing, automotive kind of blog post describing those use cases. We'll be doing a social media release and so on and so forth. The platform is general purpose, so it's not limited in the use cases. And you can see that exactly in how easily we are going from social media to robotics. For the next little while, there's several events you can catch us at if you are in the Bay Area. We will be in the ex-Boston Dynamics space in Mountain View at the Robot Block Party, a very, very large annual party coming up this Saturday, November 22. Also, next week in the same space, we are hosting the DevLabs #3 workshop. And this should be a particularly nice one with a lot of robotics aspects to it. So come and join if you are around here. Also, the week after, I'll be, and maybe a few other team members will be at NUR IPS, the biggest, most important academic AI conference annually down in San Diego. So that would be a nice one to join if you're around those spots. And of course, as always, to get the latest updates, follow me, follow Bendiken on Twitter. That's the channel for all the updates. And I've been told to even include a QR code, so I'm doing that. Live and learn. Back to you, Peter.
Thank you so much for coming again, Arto. I love the fact that you keep coming back. It's the same story you tell every time. You explain your product so well, and then you keep adding to what you guys have been up to. I think this is really a one-to-one on like what founders should do, to be honest. So what did the robotics people think about Asimov?
Well, we were very fortunate that most of the audience stayed all the way to the end. So only a couple of people had to leave somewhere along the way. And so we went way past the end marker. And of course, we had, pizza and drinks provided. So basically, most people have not heard about this approach to AI, to this approach to knowledge representation in a structured way. And as a result, they get, as I like to call it, bit by the knowledge graph bug, the same as I did 20 years ago when I got started on all of this. So I drew on the whiteboard. I explained from fundamentals how knowledge graphs and the way we represent them in computers are actually arguably as fundamental as the bit, as binary representation. And that's an interesting segment that tends to make true believers out of a few in the audience. And I should mention we had already several people who now been at every event of ours, and promised to be at the next one as well. So it looks like we are building up a true fan base, which is cool.
I love it. Fan bases are the best. Like communities are the best, and I think what you're doing, showing up IRL, keeping on coming on back, that's the way to build a community, right? And it doesn't matter how big it starts. Preferably, it actually starts very small with a true core of believers, right? And from there,
Exactly.
Awesome.
Yeah, and like I said, I believe that we are going here against the mainstream. I mean, the mainstream believes in, at this stage, that plain text in, plain text out, and doesn't give a shit about knowledge representation and structured information. And that approach is going to run into a wall. It's already beginning to run into a wall with the reports from how often LLM deployments fail in the enterprise, for example. And there are some people like myself with a background in knowledge representation who could have told them and did tell them from the start that it's going to run into a wall, because it's not like any of this is new. For decades, we've known how to build data warehouses for enterprises. And I built some of those for S&P 500 companies myself. And Palantir, fantastically lucrative business based on knowledge graphs and ontologies, right? So supercharging the 3-letter agencies in America and beyond, whether that's morally good or bad. And none of this is new, just not very widely known yet. So it's one of those cases where the future is already here, just not evenly distributed. And what we're aiming to do is democratize the neurosymbolic approach. Let the big boys like Apple and Palantir do their thing behind the scenes, but we are democratizing access to this tech for everybody.
So would you mean that you're saying democratizing, right? is it inaccessible, and why is that?
It's inaccessible mostly for two reasons. One is that the tech stacks have historically been involved in this have been complex. It's been enterprise kind of software, and nobody wants to run that outside of the enterprise, right? Crapware. So we are building on a much simpler basis. Everything is very easily understandable. It's ultimately JSON flowing over pipes between Asimov components, but it's a JSON that is readily possible to turn into a knowledge graph as a mapping to a knowledge graph. But everything is really, really simple. And the other thing is that, and this is, I think, actually more important, until you have the conceptual framework for something, it's not very easy to understand. So, for example, trying to understand high school math when you're at an elementary school level, it's not really going to work out. Even though the high school math is not any more complex once you get to it. But similarly here, the whole concept of knowledge representation is just unfamiliar to most people at this stage, including most people in the software industry, most software developers. We are just generally as an industry, we are slapping together some JSON files, right? We don't care about is it possible to unify them or not? Is it possible to have automated, reasonable approaches to dealing with that data? We just ad hoc. And so to raise the level of practice in the whole software industry is a fairly large proposition. But I think that in previous startups that I did in the space, I tried to do that evangelism, and that's a harder proposition. Now I have a much more modest proposition, which is that build on these technologies and get a competitive edge, as in be able to, for example, build reliable AI systems, which the competition cannot, because they are not basing it on any reasonable way of getting past that inevitable wall.
So the reason why LLMs are preferred, is that because like knowledge graphs are more difficult, or?
No, I think the knowledge graphs as a concept are very intuitive. It's not difficult to understand, boxes and arrows and so on. It's more about the approach to explicitly representing knowledge, right? So neural networks implicitly capture a ton of tacit knowledge about the world, and that's really, really important, because in previous decades in AI we had AI systems fail because of the lack of common sense, as in lack of this tacit knowledge that even a 5-year-old has. So an LLM knows that the arrow of gravity points downwards, but AI systems in previous decades would have trouble with the concept. So it's very important to capture that tacit knowledge, and that's great. But then past the tacit background knowledge that all of us share, do you really want the data in your organization to be hard-coded inside a model and require fine-tuning or pre-training to update? That doesn't make any sense. Do you really want to stuff all of that data into a limited size context window and come up with all kinds of stupid workarounds for making that work? Like RAG does not give very good quality answers. So this whole approach is wrong-headed and was always headed to a wall. The correct approach is that the knowledge, the information, is external to the model, and the model accesses this, right? And this is totally blindingly obvious, and it's becoming more obvious now finally to everybody. But for a few years we had sort of irrational exuberance over LLMs, and it wasn't obvious to everybody. So approaches like RAG, doomed to failure, dominated. I call RAG random ass garbage, and I actually made some T-shirts to give away to some of the people.
Can I have one, please?
I can have a special edition.
Next time I see you, please. I hope to come to San Francisco in February for NearCon.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. Please have one for me. I'll have something else for you.
Okay. What size do you need?
I like big sizes. Maybe in size XL.
Okay. Well, American XL might be quite large, though.
So maybe a large American large then.
All right. We'll have a variety.
Okay.
But in any case, that's basically the pitch, right? That to build things that are gonna be trustworthy, to build things that are going to scale past the current inherent data limitations, you need to access an external, structured, and preferably semantic, as in strong semantics, knowledge store, and that's best represented, I assert, as a knowledge graph for which there's, again, decades of practice. And in this way, we can build AI systems that are just more useful than right now, more trustworthy, more reliable. And this is true for organizations, but it's also true in our personal lives. We all have these tons of data silos in our life that don't talk to each other, and the current approach based on MCP tooling, accessing this and that is just not going to work out as well. That's also going to run into the wall. We're beginning to have the pushback now. You can see it on Hacker News and the like. We actually need to unify those data in a better way about representing information, and that's when knowledge graphs come in. And the approach we take is, in our consumer level products built on top of the platform, when you have a ask for your personal AI, we turn that into a graph query. And this is the hard part, is the thing we're keeping as a moat. And that graph query goes out over the unified knowledge graph of all the data in your life. That's just a far better approach than, randomized garbage.
Yeah. I'm super intrigued. Not being a technical person, but just hearing about these concepts is like, it really opens up my mind. I get so many ideas, but I'm gonna send them to you in DM. I didn't actually get your Calendly, and I still have something I want to ask you about, a project that I'm working on.
Yeah,
so
absolutely, we need to catch up.
Yeah. All right, Arto, thank you so much for coming. Keep coming back, please. I love it.
I will. Thank you.
All right. Have a great day. Okay, friends, we're at the end. 3 great projects showcasing what they've been building. And as you see, not all of them AI related, but contributing each in their own way within the Near ecosystem. And that is what this space is all about, putting a light on the people that are building, doing meaningful contribution. You deserve to get some recognition and talk about the things that you're building. And this is what we're here for. So please, if you have something you'd like to show to the world that you've been building on, or something you're thinking about building on, a project, pitch, whatever, please reach out to us so we can feature you on this show. This show is all yours. All right. Remember, friends, everything that was presented on this space should not be considered as financial advice. Do your own research. And you know where the alpha is. Remember to subscribe to Near Week for weekly updates on everything Near. All right. Looking forward to seeing you next week. See you in Near Fam. Bye.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe to Near Week.